Gale is going to be the Conjuration subclass for us today. This gives access to 4 subclass abilities. What we're really after is Benign, Transposition, Teleport at level 6, and this sounds cool, and that makes us want it. There's also Focus Concentration, which sounds boring, but is actually pretty good. This video will cover the basics of building your character, feat selection, spell selection, and more. Plus, at the end, we'll cover a multi-class version that allows you to teleport around the map repeatedly while emerging from portals and firing crossbows at the enemies. Pick cantrips, spells, proficiencies, and assign our ability scores. But first, I want to point out Arcane Recovery. So many people forget about this ability. Make sure that you take advantage of this. You can recover spells up to 5th level. This is a means of just keeping the character going without resting. For cantrips, I would strongly recommend Ray of Frost, 18 meter range, and has a chance to slow enemies' movement. Very good. Is it as good as Eldritch Blast? No, but this is the best that we have access to. Shocking Grasp gives us melee version of something that we can cast if we don't want to move away from the enemies. At low levels, we're fairly squishy, so you're going to want this early on, just preventing opportunity attacks from coming your way. The third slot, I would go with Utility. If you're playing on balanced difficulty, I would strongly recommend Friends. Incredibly useful spell. This is not so great on Tactician unless you're just looking for kind of a quirky playthrough, but some other options here would be Mage Hand. You could certainly take Dancing Lights, the regular light, Minor Illusion. All of these are good utility spells that you could put in that third slot. For spells, I would definitely recommend picking up Shield. This is probably hands down the best level 1 spell in my opinion. You can use this as a reaction, meaning you can see what ability is being targeted on your character and the role that it's made, and then decide if you want to use it. Incredibly useful. The next 3 slots, I would use Rituals here. It's going to be Longstrider, Featherfall, and Enhanced Leap. The reason for this is we're going to have very limited spell slots early on in the game, so putting 3 Rituals here allows this character to have more benefit to your party. Thunderwave is a means of creating distance or separation from enemies that might be on you. Useful, especially early on. And Magic Missile just gives you a 100% chance to hit, so very nice for finishing enemies, especially in key situations. So gives you some options here, and again, your spell slots will be limited. Cover the proficiencies first, and I would recommend taking Investigation, Nature, and Religion. And the reason for this is they all use Intelligence, so just kind of furthering what this character is already good at and the character that you might be stacking the stat on. There aren't a whole lot of characters that you'll be stacking Intelligence on otherwise, so these are likely to be proficiencies that you don't have covered. And if you do, obviously you can change them up. For ability points here, I'd recommend going with 16 Dex, 14 Con, 16 Intelligence. Unless you're going to use Hair of the Hag on this character. If you're going to use Hair of the Hag on this character, then I would push the Intelligence to 17. Hair of the Hag will boost it to 18. Using this setup here, we'll use ability improvement twice for feats as we acquire them at level 4 and 8, and push the Intelligence to 20. The next step is incredibly important, and that's not a joke. You need to select the Conjuration School as your subclass on the following level. We will not be taking the Warcaster feat, so if you're watching this video as a general wizard guide and not specific to the Conjuration School, you'll likely want to adjust your feats accordingly, or you may struggle in the late game. The first feat we'll select will be Ability Improvement, boosting your Intelligence by 2, regardless if you started at 16 or 17. The second feat will be Ability Improvement again if you started at 16 in. Warcaster, if you're playing a different school, is my preferred choice, but there's some overlap between this and our level 10 subclass ability, so I'd take Alert if you used Hair of the Hag on this character. Alternatively, since feats desperately need a balance patch, you can take Ability Improvement to boost your dex, gaining initiative and 1 armor class. There is an advantage to acting late as a wizard, since enemies might clump up for AoE after they act. The final feat will be Slim Pickings, and pick whichever the best option remaining for your character is. In this example, we'll take Alert since we boosted Intellect twice. Benign, Transposition, Teleport. We did it, and what this level 6 tooltip doesn't tell you is that the charge gets replenished whenever you cast a Conjuration spell, so you can teleport over and over again. It's actually pretty sweet. Now, all of your teleports cost an action, so as a pure class wizard, this is best reserved for mobility and defensive purposes, unless of course you're hasted. At the halfway point, I'd recommend this spellbook: Preparing Fireball, Haste, Cloud of Daggers, Misty Step, Mirror Image, Shield, Magic Missile, and the 3 rituals: Longstrider, Enhanced Leap, and Featherfall. Focus Conjuration. Damage taken while concentrating on a Conjuration spell will not break its concentration. This is handy, especially now that we're higher level, and getting interrupted on something like Cloud Kill can be devastating, especially with those precious high level spell slots. For the final spellbook, I'd recommend Arcane Gate, Chain Lightning, and there are a number of powerful level 6 spells to pick from, so definitely flexible here. Cloud Kill, Summon Elemental, Dimension Door, Summon Minor Elemental, Ice Storm, and everything for level 3 spells or lower has stayed the same since the halfway point. Wizards are definitely powerful, and one of the best scaling classes in the game regardless of your subclass choice, and I'd certainly recommend using some equipment, but just to prove how strong they are, I did the entire guide with just Gale's starting equipment. This build can also easily be converted into a teleporting crossbow slinging maniac as well. Follow the guide to level 6, boosting dexterity instead of intelligence, with your feet and Hair of the Hag. Then, put 3 levels into both Rogue for the subclass Thief and Bard for subclass College of Swords. You'll need some equipment for that version, mainly hand crossbows, but it's fun. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, feel free to leave your comments or own versions.